In the previous episode, Josh and Arobindo created a timeline that showed how the beanstalk was growing over time. They marked in a times 3 relationship to show that the height of the beanstalk increased by a factor of 3 each day. However, in the last lesson, they found that they could figure out other mathematical relationships among the heights as they looked over the passage of several days. In this episode, they will start by reviewing these relationships. Then, they will find mathematical relationships among the heights of the beanstalk as it grows over several days, and show these relationships on the timeline.
So here's a picture that you drew last time. Okay. So what does this picture show?
Well, this shows like
it's like a graph, but like it shows the beanstalk on different days.
And what about like the relationship between the height on day 1 and the height on day 0? Does it show us anything about that?
yeah, we see that day 1 has like 3 groups of the height of day 0, so it's 3 times taller than day 0.
Okay, so can you somehow annotate your picture so that someone who's looking at it can see right off that
This is one group, this is one group, and this is one group, and they're all equal to.
Perfect. Can you, like on your timeline, you have this times 3 to help us remember that.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
you write that in on this one too? Okay. What about, go ahead. Okay. And then any other relationships?
So we see that day 2 is 9 times taller than day 0.
Okay. Can you mark that in as well?
So we could just do that is times 9.
And where can you see the times 9 in the picture?
There's label 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And how could we predict that it was times 9?
Because one of these numbers represent one of day 0.
By highlighting these heights, Josh is showing that he sees 9 copies of the height of the day 0 beanstalk in the height of the day 2 beanstalk.
And if we just knew that it was times 3 times 3, how do we know that it's times 9? Or where can we see that times 3 times 3 is the same as times 9 in the picture?
Well, it's like if you're like multiplying 3, but then you're multiplying 3 over that multiplying 3. So if you're like multiplying 3 times 3, and then you're multiplying 9 then.
And where can we see that times 3 in the day 2 beanstalk?
So like this.
Should we just circle the thing that you like the times 3 that you drew?
Yeah, so like this is times 3, like this thing is this times 3. And then you have that also multiplied by 3. So then it's gonna be 3 groups of this multiplied together. And that equals 9.
Yeah, so the times 3 is kind of like 3 groups of 3, right? You were saying in the day 1, it's 3 groups of the day 0. Can you show me the 3 groups of 3 on the day 2 picture?
This.
No, the 3 groups of 3.
Oh, yeah, this, and this.
So there's 3 groups. Where's the of 3?
These ones.
So it's 3 groups of 3 groups of what?
3 groups of 3 groups of the height of day 0.
Okay, so now we have this times 3 and this times 9 on this picture. On this picture we have times 3, we have some times 3s. Are there any places where there's times 9?
Yeah, this one is times 9.
Okay.
And then, like every time you go 2 times, then it's 9.
Yep.
Okay. And so you said at any time there's 2 what?
You're going up by 2 days.
You're going by 2. Well, because like
You're going by 2 days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why is going by 2 days increasing the factor by 9?
Because you're having like the 3 groups of 3 thing. Because like, let's say you start on like day 2 or something. Day 3 is 3 times taller than day 2, And then day 4 is 3 times taller than day 3. So you have 3 groups of 3, which makes it 9.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Okay.
works for any day.
What other relationships can you show on the number line?
This is 81. So like here to here is 81.
Mm-hmm. So you marked it here and here. Can you make this 81
I got it.
so it's clear that it's going from day 0 to day 4?
Okay. 81. Okay, where's the 81?
It's right here.
Oh. There it is.
And how do you know that that will be times 81?
You can check from the 1 and 81.
3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And then you already know that this is 9.
Okay.
And then times 3 would be
27.
27. And then times another 3 would be 81.
So you have 9, and then can you explain it in sort of groups language?
Okay, so this is 3 groups of 3.
Mm-hmm.
And this is 3 groups of 3 groups of 3. That makes it 3 groups of 3 groups of 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is 3 groups of 3 groups of 3 groups. This is 3 groups of 3 groups of 3 groups of 3.
3 groups of 3 groups of 3 groups of 3.
Yeah.
3 groups of 3 groups of 3 groups of 3. What?
So
Of ones.
of day 0, which is the 1 centimeter.
Okay. 3 groups of 3 groups of 3 groups of 3, 1 centimeter heights,
Yes.
because that's the height on day 0.
Yep.
Is there any other place where there's 81?
You can just keep on moving up
You can do it like from 3 centimeters
to the 243.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you mark that in, or is it
Yeah,
too
sure.
crowded?
You can kind of tell, hopefully.
And for that times 81, can you explain that in groups of language?
It's like basically the same thing. You like kind of like
It's 3 groups of 3 groups of 3 groups of 3, but it's of the 3 centimeters.
instead of 1.
So 3 groups of 3 groups of 3 groups of 3 groups of
3.
3 centimeters.
3 centimeters. The height on day 1, right?
Mhm.
What relationships do you see among the times?
They're all like a day apart.
It's like this one is plus 1, plus 1, plus 1. And this would be plus 2. Because 1 plus 1 equals 2.
Okay, I like how you did the line to show where the plus 2 is. Can you do lines for the plus 1s?
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Kind of like.
In this episode, Josh and Arobindo marked relationships between the heights and the times on their timeline. They found that over the first 2 days, the height increased by a factor of 9. Then, over the next 2 days, the height also increased by a factor of 9. They argued that over any 2 days, the beanstalk will grow by a factor of 9 because there will be 3 groups of 3 copies of the original height. They then showed this on their timeline. Similarly, Josh and Arobindo argued that over 4 days, the height of the beanstalk will increase by a factor of 81 because there will be 3 groups of 3 groups of 3 groups of 3 copies of the original height, which they again showed on their timeline. Finally, they showed that the beanstalk height will increase by a factor of 3 times 3, or 9, over 2 days, and will increase by a factor of 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, or 81, over 4 days. In the next episode, Josh and Arobindo will continue to reason about how the beanstalk is growing as several days pass.